Is this scary or is this just bluff?
Well, no one knows, to be honest, because what we've got is a big build-up of troops on the borders of Ukraine, not just the eastern border, but also in the Crimea and also in Belarus, to the north. And that's a normal tactic. It's the sort of same way that bullies always use. They build up their troops, and they might or they might not use them. At the moment, there's a huge build-up of what the military call power, so they could invade. Equally, they might be bluffing. And all these experts, and I'm not one.
You are one.
Well, sort of. But all will say this, that, but actually no one knows. Unless, of course, you've got privileged access into the Soviet, slip of the tongue, Russian military command structure, which I haven't.
Well, do you think at all that Putin and Russia have a point? When you look, I mean, you know, you've served with NATO as well. Is there any unreasonableness? Is he being unreasonable saying, hey, you put missiles into Ukraine right up against my border, I ain't having it? Is there any way where you think that NATO have overstepped the mark?
Yes, in a way they have, because there's this feeling way back when the Soviet Union was splitting up that the West said, look, we're not proposing to put NATO troops on your borders. Well, there have been NATO troops exercising. So from the Russian point of view, yes. But actually, the real point is NATO is a defensive alliance. All those countries that want to join NATO, it's not NATO that's saying, come and join us. It's them that's saying, we want to join NATO. So the Russians absolutely don't like that. They don't want that. They consider, particularly Ukraine, to be part of their sphere of influence. And Ukraine is wanting to join NATO. They've got the Russians, quite rightly, in a way, from their point of view, and I'm trying to look at them from their point of view, are saying, we've got our Black Sea Fleet in the Crimea. And you're suggesting that we give that up.
Yeah, give access to that up,
You know, and the answer is, well, they won't. So the Crimea's gone, it's gone forever. And what they're arguing about is what's happening in eastern Ukraine, where a lot of people speak Russian.
Yeah, the game that's happening, though, is ultimately a game of chicken, isn't it? As you describe, everyone's guessing about what's going to happen. The world's watching, not just because the stakes are high for us, the impact on energy security, but places like China are watching this. And if they are seeing an invasion on a sovereign nation and the West acting, you know, not taking any action to do anything, then they'll do the same, won't they?
Well, they could well. I mean, we've got real problems in the world at the moment. Firstly, we've got Ukraine. Then we've got Bosnia threatening to split within 4 months with Republika Srpska. And then we've got Taiwan in the Far East being hugely threatened by China. Those are three possible World War points of conflict.
Let me ask you this, and you have to be split on this as a Conservative MP as well. Is that what should be on the front pages of our newspapers, or is it birthday parties that should be on the front pages?
I don't give a damn about birthday parties. I think it was wrong. It was damn stupid. I mean, the people in Number 10 must have been mad and silly, and they're out of line. The Prime Minister's apologised, but, you know, it was just totally wrong, and it irritates the hell out of me because I get it downstream, as all Conservative politicians and all our councillors and all the people that work for the Conservative Party are getting hell for this. But actually, you're right. What we should be worried about is the economy, recovering from coronavirus, and actually what's happening internationally, the three crises that are big. And we actually should be looking at those and worried about these, because right now, in Europe, the European Union wouldn't be able to speak with one voice at all. So that's it. They're negated. The Americans are actually concentrating on what's happening in the Pacific and actually saying, look, Europe, sort out your own problems. And that's Ukraine and Bosnia. The only country that could actually have quite a solid and decent voice internationally on this is the UK. And we should be thinking of that because the UK has got actually credibility abroad.
Has it got credibility with Boris Johnson?
Well, I'm not going to comment on that because Boris Johnson, I'm loyal, OK. I can tell you I've certainly not put a letter in, you know, if you're actually asking that. And actually, I believe that right now we shouldn't be starting to argue who actually is our Prime Minister at this time.
But I noticed of the issues that you listed there, the Ukraine situation was third. Right? It wasn't. You don't see this as obviously headlines here: NATO jets ready to scramble and whatever. You just don't see this inflaming over the next week or so. Then, do you?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. But the point is, NATO jets ready to scramble to what? To Article 5 protected countries. Remember, Ukraine is not a member of NATO. If the Russians were to invade, and they know this full well, NATO would do nothing because they're not protected. Ukraine is not a part of NATO. Countries around it are. So these NATO jets ready to scramble will go to those countries to protect the sovereign territory of NATO.
It's all a big game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fascinating.
Of course it's a game.
Yeah.
It is.
I mean, I bet you that the Russian president doesn't know whether he's going to invade or whether he's not. What he will be doing is what all politicians do, waiting to see what the situation is
first.
And that's the situation.
The impact on the economy around the world as well. We haven't even touched on that. But yesterday, the FTSE lost £53 billion in one of the worst days since the pandemic hit in March 2020. Everybody's nervous about what's going to happen in the next few weeks.
Yes, and can I just point out one thing? The Russians should be pretty nervous because if they were to invade, all their financial institutions and a lot of their economy will be frozen and they could be bankrupted. So they've got to put that into the pipe and smoke it, as well as the fact that the Russian people are being fed a diatribe of the West is trying to threaten us when actually there's no counter view. We have got to somehow get the fact that NATO is not threatening Russia through to the Russian people, because I bet you the vast majority of them think that NATO's threatening Mother Russia.
Yeah. Colonel Bob, always fascinating talking to you. Bob Stewart is a Conservative MP for Beckenham. Thank you very much indeed. Fascinating. And, you know, the one thing I took away, I think travel is an amazing thing. It broadens the mind. And I've been lucky enough to film over a lot of Russia. And particularly in Moscow, all they want to be is like the West. They want to buy Jaguar cars, Range Rovers. They want to wear Gucci. They want to have fashion stores.
I want to do that too.
You want to do that too. but I think sometimes we think, you know, these people have three heads and whatever. And really all they want is the same sort of standard of living as we have. And as you say, we don't see two sides of the story often enough.